Let me begin by just saying a gigantic thank you to every single one of you who has been participating in an inaugural dialogue about how we can be more networked together, how we can be better together. We really appreciate the time and the thought that was given. I was with Area 1, and we had lots of wonderful conversations that ran the gamut from how could leagues sort of multiply the impact of their community impact, not only by working perhaps on a common project. Little Black Dress came up a whole lot of the time, as you might imagine, but also agreeing perhaps to do some of the activities related to those events on the same day, because that actually really then creates a powerful multiplier. So we're going to take all of the notes that we've collected. I know in Area 1, most of that was done electronically. So if you all will email your notes to me, adalton@ajli.org, I would appreciate that. And then we're actually going to compile all of that and get it all back out to you. But what I'd like to do for about the next 25 minutes max is to just be able to quickly review so that you can begin to hear some of the conversations that you were having in each of your 6 breakouts. I know that in Area 1, Cindy and Gabrielle have agreed to come to the microphone. I hope that in the other 5 areas there are similar eager volunteers in the room. We're going to go question by question, and I would just ask you to get close to a mic, and we're just share out top line. We're not looking for a complete debrief, but sort of top line of what you heard, any general reactions that you have to this whole concept of better together. So let us start, and I'm supposed to be moving some slides, I'm sure. Oh, there we go. So question number 1 was, what would a new, better together networked organization actually look like, and how might that look differently from how we are today? So can I have at a microphone, and you're going to have to wave. Oh, we have somebody over here. Hooray. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, I'm Maggie Lipperini from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I'm representing the second group, and for question 1, we had some feedback related to sharing back-end services to free up funds for the league. That definitely resonated with our group. We also talked about structured training resources and initiatives would be expected of each league. We thought convening as a region regularly, especially the leadership group, would be helpful. We also talked about a single email address identity for everyone in the league. And then, much like your earlier comment, we talked about branding a national week or day of service for the Junior League.
Like a global one, maybe even?
Right.
All right. Who else is out there to speak to? Thank you very much. Great ideas.
Hi, Anne, over to your right.
Oh, there's Gabrielle.
She can go first.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. I'm trying to reach this microphone.
I think you can make it
bend it
come down
down
to you a little bit. You can push it down. It will come down.
Thank you very much. Okay. Hi, Missy Zainchuk from the Junior League of Tacoma, Washington. We appreciate our shared mission, and we enjoy our individualism, and would like to see an overarching synergy of shared resources and communication transparency, and maybe an overarching project that affects all of our communities, such as poverty. We'd like to see regional meetings. We know that some areas do it and some do not, with formalized support from AJLI for the continuities of topics discussed. We would really like to improve One Network and the cross communications between AJLI and League. We appreciate the branding and strengthening of awareness of each other. We'd like to have more information on the Facebook groups, maybe figuring out where all of them are kept. A list somewhere online with links would be helpful. And we'd like to figure out a way that not every league is needing to reinvent the wheel when we have ideas. So figuring out how, whether it's on the resources or something, to share that information. And standardizing the membership model was a thought. And easier travel across leagues, and standardizing the way you become a member to clear up rumors about the league.
Great, thank you very much. That's Area 6 over there. Gabrielle, Area 1, that's why I called it by name.
All right, so we echo a lot of the themes that we've heard so far in terms of regional groups taking more opportunities to communicate with each other, sharing a lot of their common pursuits, sharing their calendars so that they can get involved with each other's activities and cross-promote. We always ask the question, like, what are our sister leagues up to, and how can we replicate best practices? One of the things that came out of our discussion at my table specifically was that we can better leverage our conferences to allow us to do that. So having more opportunities for collaborative sharing of direct best practices, in addition to the training that's offered, but making it more of that conversation between leagues when we do finally get together. The Area 1 conference, I think everybody was pretty much on the same board with that. And again, that shared networks of trainers, resources, and leveraging each other's value.
Great, thank you. I think I see somebody over there at the microphone in that direction. Yes.
Yes, my name is Betsy Crisitiello. I'm with the Junior League of Greenville, North Carolina. I'm Area 3. We echo a lot of the same ideas that a lot of the other regions have. One idea that we had was having an area Facebook group, like we have a lot of other Facebook groups. That way it's at our fingertips. If we have a question, we need some maybe guidance from other leagues in our area, or we can just bounce ideas off of each other, just in a really quick, at our fingertips format.
Great, thank you. So we've heard from one. Oh, here comes another
Right over
area. Yay. Oh,
Here.
okay, right over here. And then I will come back to you.
Hi, Delane Helt from Chicago, from Area 4. So we echo many of the same themes that we heard from many of the other leagues. And let me just pull up my notes here. So training and education was a big one, that we could have shared training and education resources and regional training. It's very expensive to go to this particular conference and other conferences, and some of the smaller leagues don't have those resources and have to make hard decisions to send their leaders to training or to do a community service project. So having regional places where we could drive to, or closer, lower cost places, would be important. Standardized education and best practices dissemination was another theme that came up. And then the final theme was shared data and aggregate data collection around our outcomes. So as all of us do work in the community, if we could aggregate that data up, we would have a stronger voice about our impact at the regional, national, and international level.
Absolutely, fantastic, thank you. So this must be Area 5.
Yes, Katie Eldridge from Birmingham. And one question our group raised as kind of a first question, we thought we needed to step back from all three questions because we felt that the questions had a presumption built within them. And we thought the question and the focus should really be on how does a representative association better serve its individual organizations and strengthen those individual organizations. But I think that does bring us back to the things that we've heard from each of the different areas, and that we all seem to resonate around the same themes there, which is that we would like to see resources offered that benefit all of the organizations, the ability of the association to gather the information from all of us and then provide it back out to us for our use, hopefully in a format a little bit better than what's working right now, which we all agree I think is very hard to utilize and access.
Great, thank you very much. Any other observations or comments from anyone who participated in any of the discussions about question number 1? Anybody want to share something about how what has been talked about might be different from the way we are today? If not, we will move on. Do I see? No. We will go to question number 2. What ways can your league contribute to strengthen the Better Together networked organizations? So, scribes to the microphone. Lori, here comes Area 6.
Hi, Ann. Okay, so we started with sharing best practices, making people and their gifts and talents more available in order to share talents more broadly, like TED Talks, to replicate and scale and share through technology. Tap into the power of our sustainers, meet regularly with nearby leagues. We're seeing some common themes. Wish it was easier to access digital documents on Digital Cheetah to share with each other. Also, request that AJLI put more pressure on Digital Cheetah to deliver hoped-for enhancements. Have more subject matter experts at league level or regional level available to other leagues, not just the AJLI experts. Maybe create a regional council. Have leagues mentor other leagues, as with the rollouts. We need to communicate with our members that this is what we're doing, so our members are bought into this process as well. Ask that everyone attend conference and communicate the information about funding support that is available for those that might be having issues, because we still hear those that don't know about the scholarships available. Communicate to the leagues that aren't here and ask why they aren't here and see if there's something that can be done about that. But in addition, reach out to us on a more regular basis just to ask how we're doing, even for if we are attending. A speaker database.
Haven't ever heard that idea before.
Think about like a peer exchange, league to league, of sharing how things work, smaller league visiting a larger league or large to other large leagues. Maybe that's something that's a good role for outgoing presidents to think about doing as well. Attend each other's fundraising events if you're in a region. We've been doing that in Northern California, and it's been nice to have that support at each other's events. Local regional affinity groups include training options and include the sustainers to strengthen networking as an association between the AJLI-wide conferences, looking at that for cost saving. Monthly highlighting in local leagues of one another AJLI member benefit. So at our general meetings, talking about the member benefits, so we're increasing the reach to our members. And in addition to that, figure out how to make each member in each league feel as connected to AJLI as those who attend conference feel connected.
Great, thank you, Area 6. So, since we don't have tellers and cards, it's hard to tell who got to which mic first. Why don't I go straight back in the middle? Yes.
Hello, I'm Nahed Deer. I'm the PEE of the Junior League of Nashville in Area 3. And we discussed the fact that as we rely on AJLI to help us become a better together networked organization, it's difficult for us to keep up with everything going on at AJLI because in leadership positions, we have a lot that we need to think about and take care of. So we discussed designating a person to be a liaison who is a part of our league that would liaise with AJLI and report to the board and to the rest of us in order to keep us better connected so that they would not only be reporting in terms of what AJLI was doing, but would also be our voice to AJLI to let them know what we need as a league in order to better equip AJLI to provide tools and other kind of turnkey products that we can quickly, more quickly implement than if we were starting with white space.
Great, thank you very much. Why don't I go, I think that's Gabrielle who's changed microphones.
I know. This one was closer to my table. I didn't even see it. So we, again, echo a lot of the connectivity between leagues that we've heard so far, right? Supporting each other's events, being more open and welcoming to each other, having other leagues come to your headquarters for meetings or just open houses, sharing trainings and those kinds of opportunities where you can better leverage media coverage or fundraising. I think the one thing on this question that resonated most strongly from my perspective with everybody in the room was the need to take something and make it a timed league-wide initiative. So we use Little Black Dress Initiative as the example where as a league, as an entire organization of leagues, we decide what month or what week or what day Little Black Dress Initiative is across the board. Still do whatever you do for it. Still do your own program, your own fundraiser, your own issue. But now that it's all unified, imagine the scale that comes from that in terms of outreach, in terms of publicity, in terms of impact, because everybody's doing it at the same time. And it can roll out all over the world for that. That, as we talked about, falls on us as leagues to make the decision to consciously give up a little bit of individuality in exchange for the impact that the greater good can have for all of us.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to go to that corner.
Lorraine Pellegrino, Junior League of the Lehigh Valley. I was part of Region 2. We did echo a lot of what people have said previously. I'm just going to go down the list. Liaison to AJLI and other leagues. Reach out and be proactive if you have something to share. Create a data database of members and their talents, such as if you have really good, strong public speakers at your league, maybe share those with your neighboring league. Promote AGLI positions to members. Combine the training with different leagues to help use the AGLI resources. A better way to share best practice. Find a way to be more inclusive with the international leagues. Continue a connection with the regional leagues and partner with each other's events. Publish a regional calendar and attend each other's events and coordinate better. Use G Suite so email addresses are passed down to share across the league, and it's easier to connect with each other. And then it's a two-pronged approach. AGL helps facilitate these connections, and then the leagues would just have to follow up with it.
Thank you very much. Why don't we come to the front here?
Good afternoon. I'm Meredith Thomason from the Junior League of Fort Wayne, representing Area 4, and I'll try to just share some of our different ideas because we shared so many of the same themes. But we elaborated further on not just Facebook groups as a way to unify as a size or geographic group, but using Dropbox or an AGLI group share or even an email conversation, given that some members may not prefer Facebook for communication. And then a specific conversation in our own league about AGLI, all the resources, the training that's going on. And then specifically past presidents, maybe in her immediate past president role, helping with the interleague relationship building, best practices, conversation, and then just an AGLI app. So maybe that's the way to get everyone talking in your region, in your size, et cetera. And then the comment, streaming live some of annual conference if a league is already sending at least one delegate, making that component more affordable and accessible so that you still have members coming and being physically present here, but extending the reach of this amazing conference.
Great, thank you very much. Katie, why don't we get Area 5, since you're all up front and standing up?
And I would just say Area 5 had very similar ideas to the rest. So, primarily focusing on those leagues with the greater resources, larger leagues, kind of coordinating and hosting, taking that onus for creating the area connection when you can host the state meeting and putting that together, taking on that, and then also using the leaders who have had the extensive training where those resources have been developed in those leagues that do that, letting those people, and I think that was said, the past presidents, using them as maybe mentors to local smaller leagues that might need that in that following year, so that all that training that the leagues have invested is being put to good use.
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to go back there.
Yeah, Christina Davis from Abilene, Texas, and Area 5. And the only other piece that we had that was different from everybody else's is how important it is for leagues to give AJLI honest feedback, that sometimes when we're responding to things or when we're frustrated with things, we're not always expressing it back to the main office, and how important it is for us to be honest about that.
Great, thank you very much. Any other observations or comments to Q2? Then we will motor on to question 3. What practices, conditions, etc., would need to be in place for the Better Together networked organization to succeed? You got to the microphone first. I will call on you first.
Thanks, Ann. Marissa Nye with the Junior League of Columbus. One of the first things that we thought of was our, group in Greenville. They had to do a lot of work to become members of this association. And we wonder, we require so much to become a member of the association, but then what do we do once you're a member? So looking at some of those standards and things we require and holding that as an accountability practice in order to stay a member of the association. And I don't want to open a whole can of worms with this one, but we did talk about branding and how it really does need to be consistent and send a clear message because we're an international organization. We also talked about maybe, and this was mentioned earlier from someone, but a data point entry. And we're not asking everybody to turn in a large report, but maybe we have 5 data touch points or 10 at most that every league reports in. Something as easy as we're collecting this information already for our leagues, I'm sure. How many volunteer hours is your individual league doing? If we had that information times 291 leagues, what a powerful message we would be able to say as an international organization. So if we could just maybe come up with 5 things that we start to collect on an annual basis. And then if attendance was another big thing, because I will say, like, I was personally really shocked yesterday when they gave the attendance, and I did the math, and I was like, wow, there's 85 leagues not here. And at the time, only one had sent in a proxy. So I understand there's challenges to get here to annual conference, but we do think if you're a part of the association, you're at least, if you can't be here, there has to be a process where you have to send in a proxy vote so that we're hearing from truly all of our members.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go back there, and then I'll come up here. Yes.
Jill Hewson from Junior League of Bryan College Station, Texas. And a lot of the conversation that we had, I'm also Area 5, was focused on, I guess, more of the higher level, as a league and what can we do and that type of thing. I work in technology, so I went straight for the nuts and bolts of why aren't we leveraging this huge organization for savings on back-end resources like accounting software that can cost thousands of dollars each year, productivity software like office suites and that type of thing. And then another league, I guess from Houston, actually mentioned if there was an opportunity for league insurance, if we had those types of resources that could be shared across the different leagues, there would be a significant savings on our operating expenses that could be money then turned back around and going back into our communities.
Great, thank you very much. Microphone.
Hi, my name is Alison Fetch from Greater Winter Haven, Florida, and I'm speaking on behalf of Area 3. And we just discussed how we would like to see a change in the way communication looks. We want something that grabs our attention in reference to e-blasts. We would like something that's simplified and condensed and to the point, more specific subject lines. And so that came about where we started talking about how it would be wonderful to have an app, an AJLI app, where they send out communications to us. It would just really make things easier. We'd be able to have all the data about the leagues inside the app, be able to search on the app, very similar to our conference app, the Attendee Hub, but having it be all the time and have more information, more data. Basically, one network is an app.
Great, thank you very much. Right here in front.
Hello, Megan Avery with the Junior League of Duluth, representing Area 4. Everything that has been said, it had come up in our session. Most importantly, I think what needs to be discussed is with all these new ideas, the accountability factor, that if they are producing these new initiatives and ways of communicating, that we're all actively participating and engaging in it.
Great, thank you very much. I think I see Gabrielle again.
Area 1.
There we go.
So, a lot of the observations came down to how there are portals right now for sharing information. Everybody has their own technology preferences. Those things can be kind of difficult to try and get everybody on board and adopt. It's a hard process to do professionally at your work, if you've ever gone through it, let alone in a volunteer organization. But when we see that we're not applying the best practices that we do learn about, what the question then goes back to that idea of willingness to give up a little identity in exchange for the support. And we came up with the need for change management training for boards of directors, because this is a painful cultural process, and the successful launch is absolutely key, because if you don't do it right, you're not only not doing your launch right, you're damaging who is already participating in the system that they felt was already working, so why are you changing it to begin with? Then the conversation went to collaboration and the slightly controversial question of, does parliamentary procedure hold us back from strategic collaboration between leagues?
Thank you very much. I'm going to go over here.
Hi, I'm Melissa Ostrasser, Junior League of Toronto. So when we talk about being better together and networked, the first thing that really came to our mind was standardization and consistency, but on an international level. And so I think that's where we definitely need to start. The other idea that we talked about was around new members. So when a new member joins any junior league, to have an email. So once the information is given to AJLI, a personalized email from AJLI to that member, welcoming them to the association, talking about the benefits of membership of the association, and as well as pushing out training to them, so that way all new members would get the standard base training about the international history of the Junior League. So we watched the history video on the first day, and it's wonderful, but it's like 99% in US based. So looking to see, something a little bit more global. And it's very similar to when you join get a new job at a new company. So you get minimum training about that company, and then you go off to your department and you get department specific training. And that's what we would envision here. And then, you get your card with your AJLI number. Here's how you log into the website. Here's the resources. And that's something that, I think could be pretty low cost. And really, again, just those minimum standards for, I know the recruitment material says, Junior League of insert your name here. And I think it's great to see that and just continuing on with that so that all of the, we can rinse and repeat. Any league can go in and pick up a fundraising letter or a fund development letter or insert whatever else here and then just insert your particular Junior League's name.
Great, thank you very much. Lori.
Hi, Ann. And I appreciated hearing the other leagues that were talking about the back end, because we also discussed shared resources like accountants and CPAs, so that we stop cutting our training budgets so that we can keep the lights on in our offices. And training seems to be where everyone ends up cutting their money. Ensuring buy-in to this process from everyone before moving forward so that we're successful in it. I think we discussed regional ambassadors, making sure that the resources that we develop are easy to access so that we're actually using them, otherwise we're stuck again. We also discussed having a SPAC in each state so that there was more civic leadership and those that were looking at what's going on in each individual state. Okay. Sliding scale for AJLI registration fees for conferences, especially for the small leagues for whom it might be a huge limiting factor. There was also a suggestion of large leagues maybe looking at sponsoring some smaller leagues. Mentoring around leagues, seating arrangements at conferences or ODIs organized by area so it was easier to get to know the area leagues. Collective dialoguing around how we strengthen the language around what we are a part of, like women's empowerment. We also talked about sharing rooms at conferences. Some people come by themselves and don't know that they might be able to share a room with another organization to split fees. And then a resource list directory, a person designated in each league as a liaison to the other leagues.
Great, thank you very much. Any other thoughts or observations about the three questions or any other themes that cropped up in any of your conversations? Anybody wants to share? You going to a microphone? This is Cindy from Buffalo.
Hello, this is Cindy McGacken from the Junior League of Buffalo, and to just kind of piggyback on all of the themes that have been echoed throughout the afternoon, we talked about a universal language, and it's very difficult because when you sit at tables and you talk to other leagues of various sizes, we're all structured differently. We all have different titles for our volunteers and what their expectations are. So in one way to make us successful and networked and again, branding, all of that is to have that universal language, have that consistency. It can go from size, right? Large leagues are going to have more. Medium leagues will have a little less, smaller, but there's the same consistent structure with a universal language that we all speak, which I think would be very helpful. And I did throw in there, and I was unaware that there's been lots of dialogue in the past, but again, universal branding. If you go into Facebook and you type in Junior League and you get all of these logos that come up, you have some very similar ones that have the JL that we see up there, but then you have a lot of very, very different ones. Again, if we're looking at internationally branding ourselves, it's very important that we have an image that we're all utilizing. So that was it.
Thank you very much. Anything else? Yes, Missy.
Hi, Missy from the Junior League of Tacoma, again in Area 6. I know that the intent is to send us all this information, but I'm wondering about what the process is after that. What is the association going to do with what we just told you?
You're just getting ahead of the script.
I'm sorry.
So yes, we are absolutely going to collect all of the information and get it back out to you. But oh, wait a minute, we have somebody at a microphone. So before I wrap it up, let's go to the microphone in the back.
Hi, Alice Glenn from New Orleans. I just wanted to add again from Area 5's conversation that I may be the only one who feels this way, but I think it's important to note that there are costs associated with most of these implementations that not all leagues would be prepared to absorb. So that would certainly be support that we would need from AJLI or some other source or strategy.
Great, thank you, absolutely. So, in addition to getting you all the information that has been shared today, the AJLI board and staff over the summer are going to be pulling together a couple of task forces to begin to dig more deeply into some of these subjects. So please be on the lookout. You will be alerted to them through the All League email system, because we really hope that we will get the same kind of participation from leagues that has really made a difference in a lot of the major change initiatives that we've undertaken as an association. We want to have a completed 3-year strategic plan by early this summer, and we really look forward to that plan giving us a pretty clear-cut direction in how we will, in fact, strengthen and grow the junior league movement and be better together. Thank you for helping us get started. This is just a beginning. And now I'm going to turn the rest of the service dialogue over to Susan Danish and some of my colleagues on the senior staff who have some important updates for you.
Well, thank you again, everyone. That was really helpful, and I appreciate that you hung in there and answered the questions and that we got such a wide range of ideas as well. I think that's really important. So we actually have a few things that we want to share with you, and I believe there will be some time for open mic as we move through things. I'm joined up here today with Janine Lasseur from our programs, Director of Programs, Lori Dodge, Director of Marketing and Development, Michelle Gorenstein, Creative Director, and Juan Che, Director of Learning. And so we're going to kind of rapid fire go through some things because we haven't really had a chance to just kind of tell you some of the things that are going on that we really want to make sure that we've communicated. And then again, as I said, time permitting, we will go into the open mic. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the 2018-19 budget. So for those of you who are not familiar with the way that the association budgets, a draft budget is prepared and presented to the AJLI Board of Directors at their March board meeting. We discuss it, we talk about possible changes, and a budget in a draft form is approved to go into the call to conference. So as a result of that March board meeting, you see the draft that's in the call. We listen really carefully at annual conference and take into account what we hear and what we need to change, the board and the staff, to create the best possible budget. And then a final budget is approved by the AJLI board at the June board meeting. So that's the way that the budget process works for us. This budget, as you know from your call to conference, is a deficit budget. It's an investment spending budget. And so I want to talk just briefly about some of the elements of the budget and why the AJLI Board of Directors has approved this draft budget. When we look at revenue, we're looking at almost a 4% revenue decline. And not all of that, I must say, is membership declines. There's also something in it for many of you. Historically, new members have been billed for an entire quarter of dues, whether they join in the first month of a quarter or the third month of a quarter. And we've decided that that is not appropriate, and so that process is going away. And so we're investing in making sure that nobody is overpaying for bringing their new members into the association and making them members. So that's one really good thing. In addition, we're seeing a slight reduction in conference attendance, so there's a little bit less revenue there. We're very conservative on our sponsorship projections, although as I know you know from the budget, we are going to add an additional fund development person to our team because we want to completely accelerate our fund development efforts. And we've made conservative boutique assumptions. So revenue is actually pretty straightforward. When we look at expenses, we're looking at a 5% expense reduction. That's primarily reductions in a lot of our consulting expenses, reduced investment spending in the governance visits, which we invested in last year for more governance visits around diversity and inclusion. But let me tell you, the governance budget for visits is still a healthy $144,000. So do not hesitate to request a governance visit. And then finally, there's many small operating efficiencies, large and small operating efficiencies that we've taken advantage of this past year. Originally, last year, the board approved a $235,000 deficit for this year. As it turns out, we're going to do better than budgeted, and we're really looking at about a $96,000 deficit. So when we look at what we're forecasting this year and what we've asked for the coming year, it's a little bit less, marginally less, than what we would have invested in this full year if we had been able to do everything that we had wanted to do. So it's really spending the deficit over 2 years, investment spending really, instead of 1 year. This is how the money is allocated. $70,000 going partially toward an additional fund development colleague in the organization. $20,000 for an AJLI board governance project. And $15,000 in league relations to again continue some of our work on diversity and inclusion. And we're continuing to maintain a high level, higher than normal level, of marketing and PR support. The only reduction in that versus the prior year is that this past year, we also invested in a lot of market research, which we don't need to do again. So the actual spending with the PR firm is going to be consistent. The capital budget is also a much smaller budget than last year. And that's because a lot of our investment in one network has occurred, and so we can slow the spending on some of those efforts, and so that's always a good thing as well. And so that's really the nature of the budget. And I know that some of you probably have questions on that. If you'll just indulge me and allow my colleagues to quickly go through what they'd like to share, again, we can go back and talk about anything else you'd like. So I'm going to turn things over to Janine. Oh, except for this one last slide. Sorry, I'm almost going to turn things over to Janine. We are in a strong financial position. Carol Scott said that in the State of the Association address, and I just want to reiterate that. We have a high level of reserves. We have 10 to 12 months of reserves, in fact, and so, industry standard is 6 to 12 months, and so we feel like we're in a financial position where it's a good time to continue the investment spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. So you may all recall the campaign for 100% Junior League commitment to diversity and inclusion, which we launched at Fall Leadership last year. The 100% commitment was really just the first step, and it was an opportunity for us to mobilize and get everybody on board at the same time. And the 3 steps, the 100% commitment was associated with 3 elements. First of all, we adopted the commitment statement, which was really the first step towards a D&I organization-wide priority. The second step in your leagues was to take a board assessment of your league's current diversity and inclusion efforts, and then use the assessment as a baseline to compare your progress into the future. And then the third step was to set up a task force or some kind of a committee that would support the board in its work and begin to build the D&I action plan for your league. Thank you. So AGLI has been tracking the progress of this campaign, and we are thrilled to share the results with you today. So in just 7 months, that is since October of last year, the number of junior leagues who have completed at least one of the 3 steps is 140. So that's 48% of junior leagues have actually taken the step and made a commitment. You can give yourself a hand. We have about 8% of leagues who are in progress, and so there is some internal work that they're doing. We've had a few leagues, 8%, that have said they have not taken that step for all kinds of reasons, mainly because things are a little bit slower. There were some internal capacity issues that they wanted to overcome, but are generally on board. And we've had about 103 leagues that we haven't actually heard from. So for those leagues from whom we have not heard, we will continue to reach out and offer technical assistance as you too embark on this journey. But let me tell you a little bit about what's next. So this is really just the first step. In 2018-19, AGLI will continue to support leagues in their commitment to D&I. In addition, we will work with all leagues to embed D&I across their internal operations and within their functional areas as a starting point towards transforming Junior League into a more inclusive environment that welcomes all women who value our mission. And this could involve a combination of different action steps depending on where your league is in the journey. Everything from how to engage your members on the imperatives of D&I, to offering learning and dialogue opportunities, to assessing league policies and procedures through a D&I lens, and so on. So all of these things would enable the co-authorship with your members in building your organization vision, your D&I vision for the future. So to that end, we will continue to offer tools, resources, and learning opportunities to guide your leadership and your membership through embedding the journey. This is really about institutionalizing D&I across the association. We have created a home for all things D&I, which is in the transformation, on the AGLI page, in the transformation tab, in the drop-down menu, there's a D&I thing. So all the resources are a click away in that tab, and it will host the most important resources that you will need to guide you through this journey, particularly as you begin the process of embedding. So we look forward to further conversations with you as we continue to walk this journey together. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Janine. Produced in both English and Spanish, Unstoppable is our new, let me go to what I'm going to show you. Our new PSA campaign designed to build stronger awareness of today's junior league, energize membership and external constituents, and provide consistency in messaging and compelling visual content showcasing the league and its members in a fresh, relevant, modern light. We hope the various campaign elements are useful to you as you work to generate greater awareness of the Junior League brand in your local communities. Should you have any questions about using the campaign elements, please watch the webinar we recorded last month, which is available in the JL brand standards, along with the other Unstoppable campaign elements, or feel free to be in touch with me or Michelle, who is seated to my left, our creative director, and we can provide you any assistance you need in utilizing those resources. The Unstoppable cast, I think you may know this, but the Unstoppable cast are all Junior League members, without whom we could not have created the campaign. We're deeply grateful to each and every member who participated in the effort, and to those who appear in the video and print PSA, some of whom are here today. Our own local celebs. I don't have enough time to read their names, so please have a look at the screens behind me or refer to the ALE in which we announced the campaign. T-shirts, if you like them, stop by the JL Boutique and say hello to Susan Lindeen. Be sure to buy some from her. She's got t-shirts and a bunch of other Unstoppable merchandise. If you really like them and you want to place a bulk order, you can visit On Brand Marketplace, which I will talk to you about in a minute. The AJLI marketing department does its best to deliver high-quality creative collateral that successfully promotes the Junior League brand. Our efforts have inspired individual junior leagues as well as businesses and nonprofits outside of the association to request branding, graphic design, web development, and multimedia solutions for these varied entities. And so, as a social enterprise established to benefit the association, On Brand provides these solutions at competitive rates and utilizes revenue from sales to support AJLI's strategic objectives to ensure the legacy and lasting impact of the Junior League. On Brand's currently in what we like to call beta, which is to say we haven't officially launched yet, but we've been engaged in several projects on behalf of leagues across the association. So again, if you have any questions or any projects you're thinking about doing, please give us a shout. We're happy to have a conversation to figure out what you need. The marketplace, which I referred to a minute ago, we are working in partnership with R.R. Donnelly. Terry's outside, I believe, in that hallway. They are a global integrated communications provider. We've developed On Brand Marketplace together. It's a web-based resource for leagues that provides access to printed collateral such as banners, business cards, annual reports, t-shirts, and the like to advance consistency and alignment in messaging and visual identity, critical to generating greater brand awareness for the Junior League. And before I hand the mic over to Michelle, I'd like to just give a big shout out to 3 of our new sponsors, Fisher & Weezer, who is in that hallway, a specialty foods company located in Fredericksburg, Texas, that aspires to inspire your culinary adventure through the incorporation of their award-winning cooking sauces, salsas, jams, jellies, appetizers, pasta sauces, soups, meal starters, and so much more into your everyday recipes. They'd like to work with leagues that have Kids in the Kitchen programs. So if you do, or if you just want to taste some really great food, stop by and visit them in the exhibit showcase, where you will also find Finra, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority dedicated to investor protection and market integrity through effective and efficient regulation of broker-dealers. You may be wondering what their interest is in the Junior League. If you're not, I'm going to tell you. Finra is not part of the government. It's a nonprofit organization authorized by Congress to protect America's investors by making sure the broker-dealer industry operates fairly and honestly. They're looking to diversify the pool of arbiters who hear cases of potential financial malfeasance perpetrated against investors by those in the financial industry. And currently, most of the arbiters are retired lawyers, and they're predominantly older white men. Nothing wrong with that, but if you want a diverse pool and you want more women, call the Junior League. And so if you check out their page in the member benefits, there's information about how you can become an arbitrator. I was saying arbiter, but I think it's really arbitrator. And it's a free online course, and you know the estimates that were sort of thrown around is that you could make $600 a day doing this. It's one of those things additionally that's probably a really good thing to have on your resume, just as an extra added, I know how to do this. And finally, our last sponsor will really need no description because it's Blow Dry Bar. You know, the hair. They're not here, but there will also be benefits available on the website. So check it out and get your hair blown dry. Michelle?
Hi. Can you see me? Thanks, Lori. Okay, so I have 2 announcements. First, the Marketing and Communications section of the JL directory is now live. So if you want to know who else uses an editorial calendar or want to see what other channels leagues are using to communicate with members, now you can. A big thank you to the 54 leagues who have already entered their information. You can enter your league's information using the league admin portal, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please stop by in that hallway, the tech table, and Dave Burkita, our IT director, or myself can walk you through that. Second, in today's world, we all know that good data can provide invaluable insights, and for junior leagues, being able to understand the metrics around your membership retention is critical to your league's sustainability. Gathering the data to build these metrics has been a focus of the One Network initiative over the last couple of years. In the last few months, Digital Cheetah has worked closely with AJLI and a task force from poll leagues to develop a membership dashboard. And now your leadership team will be able to see trends in your league's membership at a glance and make informed decisions about your strategies. Those of you who have administrative access to Digital Cheetah will not soon, but as of this morning, you will now see a new Junior League resource area where you will be able to access this view into your league's membership metrics. Note that you must be an assigned administrator of your league's Digital Cheetah platform to see this information, and that each league can only see their own league's data. If you want to see a live demo of it, Digital Cheetah is right out in the hallway right there. In this first phase, the membership dashboard includes views of the following data points: members by status, current year member count, member change report by year, average age of provisionals, first year active retention to second year, and provisional conversion to active. The dashboards have already begun rolling out, and for this coming year, the dashboards have already been rolling out for leagues who are using Digital Cheetah, and for this coming league year, we'll be looking to bring these dashboards to all leagues regardless of platform. And now I'll turn things over to Jawan.
Thank you, Michelle. Ooh. Okay, so I have the pleasure of bringing up the rear and give you some updates about the learning efforts. So many of you would remember our Advancing Diversity and Inclusion publication, the thick resource that has tons and tons of tools and very short introduction at the beginning, the kind of learning actions that you can do. I'm very happy to share with you we have taken one step further. So we now have a learning portal on diversity and inclusion. It had just gone live, and you'll be hearing from us about the purposes and how you can share it with your members as well. So this now joins our curriculum grid that, as you see on this screen, we've been talking about those top 6 ones all along as the critical components of developing the capacities of community and civic leadership. And along with the association's strategic priorities, the diversity and inclusion has now joined it, and now we have 7 concentrations. For the past few weeks, Susan and I have been having a series of dialogues with the presidents of the junior leagues by the size groupings about our curriculum efforts and what kind of resources or additional training opportunities that we can really meet the needs of you and your colleagues back at your home leagues. And one thing that we've heard over and over is we want everything sooner. We want everything in a very concise format, and would like to have many more vehicles of delivering it to us. So there are tons of good ideas that we've heard. There are some themes emerging, but again, there are too much information in there. So we are sifting through those things, and that's not the end of our conversation. We'll be continuing to engage you in that dialogue, and we'll figure things out. But there are some initial things that we can actually give you. So here I'm showing you an example. Many of you had asked for checklists, something very concise. So on the left side, you will see that's a checklist for the brand new board members. What do you need to do? It's a very short resource. Even before you get on, your term begins, there are certain things that you can do right away. And once your term begins, there are certain things that you can do. So that's the example of the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you see a grid. And that's for the presidents by month, the kind of things that you need to keep in mind. So that's just an example of additional resources that we'll be working on. And the next thing that I'm going to show you is it's not just the top leadership. This is a brand new league year starting. So continuing on our tradition, we have our June webinar series on making AJLI resources work for you. So starting on June 6th, ending with June 27th, There are various topics and your functional team members and the team leaders who can actually engage with us and gain insights and access to all these additional resources. So I hope you can share this information back and also give us, continue to engage with us about your needs.
Thank you, folks. And so now we have about 10 minutes left in this hour-long session, and we'd love to open up the microphone to any of you who may have questions or comments on any topic for us. Anybody?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm really excited about the metrics, so I can't wait to dive into that. Could you consider in the future transfer information as well? We're a very transient league, which is a wonderful benefit for our members, but it makes it difficult for us to plan, and we lose sight of who has transferred in and out once they get integrated into our league. So that might be something to add later on.
That sounds like a great suggestion. Thank you. Yes.
I have a couple of questions. For the membership matrix, is that available now too, especially in regards to if members drop, whether in good or bad standing? Do we have records of that we could get?
Do you want to come up, Michelle? Also, can you folks just remind us who you are?
Oh, I'm Alison Fetch from the Junior League of Greater Winter Haven, Florida.
Thank you. I mean, it's just so hard to see you. You're like shadows.
There's a lot of information and a lot of data that was available, and the team that was working with Digital Cheetah through the poll leagues, they determined that we really wanted to get this dashboard out and running very quickly, so they chose those five metrics to get started with, but there is conversation about keeping that dashboard developing and growing, and there are more things that have been discussed. So if you want to stop by Digital Cheetah's table, they can talk about where the next phase could go. And we're looking to see, what are the top pieces of data that you need right away, and start a phased approach of getting that data available and really trying to develop a series of dashboards to provide you that kind of information, not only in membership, but in other areas that you need.
What about for the leagues that do not use Digital Cheetah?
That's part of the work plan, is trying to figure out what are we going to do for the leagues that are not using Digital Cheetah, and how to bring the data that you have into an aggregate form or into a form that you'll be able to see, and that's something we all have to discuss in terms of the platforms that you're using or the platforms that you're not using.
Yes.
There's a lot of leagues who are still managing membership information on a spreadsheet. So
Yes.
there's a lot of conversation to have around that and what we can do to help you manage your data. One of those things is a Member Essentials platform, and so you can stop by and talk to myself or Dave Burkita in the hallway.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
But we're very aware that this is a first step of getting the Digital Cheetah leagues up and running with that data, and then we have to have additional conversations about how to help all the other leagues who are using different platforms or are not on a platform yet, and how to help you get that data as well.
Okay,
Did
thank
say
you
that
so
that
much.
was a goal for next year?
That's a goal for next year.
Wonderful news. And I have one more question about the webinars. What time will those be, and will they be recorded and posted to view later?
Yeah. Webinar Wednesdays happen at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and they're always recorded. And there's an archive on the website where you can access, if you missed one, you can access a recording and watch or listen to those webinars.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Question over here.
I think she was first.
Oh, I'm
Hi,
sorry.
it's Melissa from the Junior League of Toronto. Two quick questions. So one, at a previous conference, you shared a bunch of membership data that was around diversity. And I was just wondering if that data is available on the AGLI site. And then my second question is if there's any comment about the other marketing campaign that was brought up at a previous conference, that Be Her campaign. Thank you.
Sure. So I believe that data was posted along with all the rest of the information from that conference, from the Fall Leadership Conference. So if you just go into conference materials and go to Fall Leadership 2017, you'll be able to find that data. It's all there.
In terms of Be Heroic, we'd be happy. Lori, do you want to talk a little bit about where we are on that?
We're having lots of conversations about She is Heroic, Be Her. Originally, when Mitchell came up with the idea for us, it was a much smaller concept than what we've built it out to be, and it involves potentially very large corporate sponsors, and the back and forth dialogues, unfortunately, do not they're not one and done in a week. They've taken weeks and months. And so that conversation is still happening. It is still a program. We've trademarked She is Heroic, Be Her. We're committed to that campaign. The timing, I would say we could look for some sort of more formalized announcement, probably, what are we in April? Because it's in early. I would say by the end of the summer.
Yeah, without promising what we can't promise, there are some conversations going on with some very large potential sponsors that will really make this a very different kind of program for us. I also want to say something, particularly because you're from a Canadian league. There were some questions about the She is Heroic, Be Her among the leagues outside the U.S. and concern about whether this was a phrase that was acceptable to be used. And we actually did a lot of research on that topic. Our PR firm is a global PR firm, and they did the research outside of the U.S. and found unequivocally that it is a phrase, She is Heroic, Be Her, is something that resonates, that the term be a hero in whatever form is generally used in all of the countries and is more than acceptable to use. And we also talked with their affiliates in Mexico to make sure that this was something we could use in Mexico. So we did cover, I don't know if that was part of your question or not, but I wanted to make sure that I said that. And we also did concept research among people about the She is Heroic, Be Her concept, and it was one of the most highly rated concepts that the research firm has ever seen. So we have a lot of confidence that when we do launch it, it will be great. And I'll stop talking because I see that there's a bunch of you lined up.
Here.
Yeah, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Houston. Will you tell us a little bit more about what the new fund development person will be doing?
Sure. We have a small fund development team. Lori is basically the director of marketing and development. And we also have one additional person in the department who helps with fund development. And what we've decided is that to really focus to be even more focused on the importance of fund development, we need additional people. So this person will be a fund development person at a high level in the organization who can really help accelerate our efforts around sponsorships and grants and some of the things that are time consuming and that have the potential to generate large returns. I think Lori and her team have done a really great job of bringing sponsors to us repeatedly, and it's very hard to keep sponsors because they don't always get a return from the leagues that they'd love to have from us, and so we churn a lot of sponsors, so we really want to build out a more diversified platform, again, with grants and with other kinds of funding, and we need more people to do that. Yeah.
Leagues will benefit from that funding. You don't see it as a competition?
Well, in the first place, we would never do anything that competes with the leagues.
Okay.
So whenever we talk to a potential sponsor, if we know it's headquartered in a particular area, for example, we would always talk with the league first about their relationship with that organization and make sure that we're not stepping on toes. A lot of times we've had ideas about sponsors in particular areas. We've reached out to leagues and they don't have a relationship. And they say, we would love for you to do that and let's do it together. So our intention is never to cannibalize the funds that leagues are raising in their own communities. Hopefully a big national, international sponsor would be something that would benefit all leagues.
Normally, when we engage in these conversations, just for clarity, we seek to get something for AJLI so that we can offset other spending, we look for some sort of benefit for the leagues and some sort of benefit for the league members. So the ideal, in terms of corporate sponsor, the ideal for us was Kashi, where we got a substantial amount of money. They gave us a substantial, in which we helped, it helped us figure out what was going on, how the Kids in the Kitchen program had expanded across the association, so we got a lot of intelligence from that money, because we were able to hire a consultant who worked with all of you or your predecessors to really determine what was happening with Kids in the Kitchen. They gave us a lot of money for grants, which was then re-granted to, so, you know, you all applied for grants and certain leagues received grants. And then there were member benefits just in terms of coupons and reduced pricing for products. So that's, in terms of corporate sponsorship, the ideal, and that's what we always aim for. Unfortunately, we don't always get that.
But we don't ever do anything that's strictly solely for the association. It always has to address the needs of two of our three components, the association, the leagues, and the members. So thank you for reminding me of that, Lauren. Okay, yes.
Hi, Margaret Myers from San Joaquin County. As a small league, we wanted to know, is there someone at AGLI or are you looking into that can help those leagues that for cost reasons aren't able to use Digital Cheetah and yet need that access to all the information that it provides?
Michelle has something to remind you.
Are you going to the Slibby Affinity meeting today?
I'm sorry, the what?
Are you going to be at the Small Leagues Big Impact meeting
I
today?
am.
I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be presenting on the Member Essentials platform, which is a member management platform that the association developed to help leagues like yours.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, I understand that there's somebody that's been waiting in the back.
It was me. I moved up.
Oh.
I just moved.
See, when in doubt, just move up. Okay.
Hi, Shannon Kamak with Junior League of Collin County in Texas. Thank you for the further clarification about the fund development person. My other comment was about the reduction of governance meetings. Now, I understand that you still have a very healthy budget for that, but there was a common theme that came up across all of the area meetings about investing more in regional liaisons, so to speak, to come in and really help us with some of the transition activities from year to year, or to come in and help with specific things like recruitment or finances or just various things that we as a volunteer organization sometimes struggle with. So I would just urge you to look at potentially investing in some of those area liaison pieces as well. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. And let me just make sure that that these are differentiated. The governance visits are the board's visits, and those are not training visits. They're wonderful visits. They give you a good picture of the association and really add value to your members and are great for motivating and sharing what the association is all about. The kinds of things that you're talking about are things that, for example, last year we began the investment in 8 volunteer service specialists who are volunteers who are available to work with leagues on various issues that they have. And so that's one of the ways that we're trying to do that more. We would love to get more involved in regional meetings and would be very welcoming of having a conversation about how we can do that kind of thing more too.
I have a question.
Yes, hi.
I was just wondering, I'm Natalie from Fort Worth, and I was wondering why y'all are choosing to go into a deficit consistently year after year instead of coming out flat at the end of the year, especially with so many assets.
Well, actually, we don't have a deficit year after year. This is, if you look historically at most of what we've done, we've actually built the reserves up steadily over the course of the last decade. And so we feel that we have adequate reserves to use to better the work that we're doing. And that's actually not something that is an inappropriate thing to do. I think even leagues with large reserves should consider other ways that they can use some of that money. But that's just me. And so I think this is just a point in time where we have some things in motion that we'd really like to be able to continue. And I'm hoping that with the additional fund development effort, et cetera, that we can continue, that we can get back to break even. every year we budget to break even, and most years we have sometimes a 5 and sometimes a $6-figure dollar net excess. So if you went back more years than this year, and you would see that.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, is that Alicia?
Yeah, it's Alicia, Junior Cleveland. Little different take on that. For a couple of years, the investment spending, deficit spending, I don't have a problem with. I just want to understand why you all didn't spend all you were planning to spend last year. A lot of that I know was around marketing, but sometimes when everybody says, ooh, let's save money, it's like, what's not getting done? So what didn't happen last year for that larger spend?
Sure. All of the governance visits that were budgeted did not happen, and yet every governance visit that was requested was fulfilled, I believe. Did I get that right, Carol? Yes. Okay. So that was money that was left on the table. I believe we spent, we also had a little bit of consulting money that wasn't spent in terms of the D&I effort, and that was just because of the cost of what we spent versus what we thought it was going to be. Were there other, Aditi, would you like to add anything to that? Or Renee?
I just wanted to say there was $250,000 budgeted in investment spending, and we expect to spend 201 of it. So it's not like, you know, that, so, and then if you think about the deficit budget amount was 235,000, and we expect to come in somewhere in the $95,000 to $100,000 range. You can see that the savings are from far more than not doing the investment spending.
Thank you. It helps to have the treasurer in the room. Okay. Anybody else? I see no one standing up except to leave. So I think that means that we're done. Seriously, though, if you have any questions, if we've not adequately answered your questions, please let us know. And thank you again for being with us this afternoon. Have a wonderful evening.